Hello, welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly and I'm so excited to share with you video number 3 out of a 4-video series for the For Always collection, where we are creating the entire workshop from start to finish together. Layout 1 was completed in video 1, as well as some doily star prep work. Layout 2 was completed in video number 2, and now we're going to create this gorgeous layout featuring our daughter Emily and her beautiful family in this video. So at this point in the series, you should have the free guide downloaded, which is in the description, and you should have all of your straight cutting done. So you can link back to video number 1 if you're just starting, or you can jump right in with us here on layout number 3. So what we're going to focus on first here is we're going to do some background stamping with the Love Doily on the background pages. You're going to get your 12 by 12 French vanilla layout, some scrap paper, your Love Doily, and your Desert Rose stamp pad. And we're actually going to create a series of first and second generation doilies on the left edge of the left page. And then we're also going to be creating some of these doilies and stamping some of these doilies on the right base page. Now, don't stress. This is for interest, so you can get your doilies in about approximately the same place. However, it's just going to be a beautiful cluster on the edge. I'm actually going to start the very corner doily as a second generation doily, meaning stamp first onto scrap paper and then stamp again on the base and get about 3/4 of that doily in that lower left corner. Then we're going to come back in because we're doing all of the second generation doilies first. So we're going to stamp off on scrap paper. We're going to move up a little ways and we're going to stamp about half of a second generation doily, leaving space in between, a couple inches in between. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be measured. And we're going to toggle our pieces based on our stamping. So yours is going to be beautiful. It does not have to be identical. Feel free to be creative. Now we're coming back in with regular ink without stamping off first, with a little under half of a doily on the bottom there. And we're creating this nice curve with these doilies that are just going to be a beautiful vision that sort of hugs those photos and draws attention to the photos when we get those placed. Now we're doing almost a whole doily in full strength ink that we're toggling in between the 2 second generation doilies. It's looking so beautiful. The stamp set, Love Doily stamp set, stamps so beautifully. I absolutely love it. We're going to come in with just a tiny little, like less than a fourth up on the top to top that off, so you have that sort of graduating curve. So I'm stamping, of course, on the back side of my Versamat with my all-purpose mat on top, so it's completely wipeable. Now we're going to work on the upper right page of the right side. So we're going to get our 12 by 12 French vanilla piece, and we're actually going to make a curve that goes the opposite direction in the opposite corner, and this will be hugging those photos on the right page. So again, don't worry about perfection. We're going to stamp off first and do about 3/4 of a doily up here, a couple inches from the right edge. And then we're going to come back in, and it's just a beautiful cluster. Don't stress too much. I do give more specifics in the guide. Now we're going to almost touch that upper doily and almost have a full doily. We're going to just be coming off the edge with the very tip of that doily, and it's a second generation again. It's much better to do second generation first and then come back in with full strength ink after. Now this third one is barely going to touch the second one, and it's also going to be a second generation, but we're getting a little farther out on the edge, not quite 3/4 of a doily there. Now we're going back up to the top with full strength, and we're doing a little less than a half of a doily. I'm going to wipe my mat here because I'm a hazard. And I sometimes get ink all over the backs of my pages because I forget to do my wiping. I typically wipe just with my stamp chamois or a wet wipe, and that's what I love the all-purpose mat for. All right, we're going to come back in with full strength, and we're going to cover up that corner with about 3/4 of a doily. You can see how the pieces are just filling in, and it's so gorgeous. I love it so much, and I love being able to use stamping to add the two tones. So this is a full doily toggling between the two of those partial second generation, and then we're finishing it off on the bottom with another less than half full strength, about 1/4 of a doily on the bottom. Now you can even see that my original and my one that I've just created now are not identical. They're close, but they're not identical. And so I hope that you are feeling okay about the way you've done your stamping, because it truly doesn't matter. I came in with that doily again because there was a little space that was bothering me a little bit, that just had a little bit of a gap. And even though the original doesn't have that, I came in with that to add that so it was a little more pleasing to my eye. Now we're going to work on some bits that we've cut in the straight portion. We're going to work on the tag here, which is the Desert Rose tag. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to use a word stamp and go back and forth across the tag, and there's no rhyme or reason really. You just go back and forth, and we're just using words to decorate another embellishment for the page. So a lot of times if you don't have a lot of extra icons, or you don't have die cuts to use or Cricut cuts to use, you can actually just use pattern paper pieces and cardstock pieces and use your stamp to add embellishments, and it doesn't have to be icons. Word stamps create great elements of interest as well, and you see these in the form of stickers all the time. So now we have the diagonal striped background stamp and our French vanilla tag, and I'm stamping it here, and I got a little bit uneven, and so I'm flipping it over to stamp the back and take another run at it, and then I realize that I stamped it in full strength by accident. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp that in second generation Desert Rose, meaning we're going to stamp off first and then stamp again in full strength, and we're stamping about 1/4 of that tag on the edge. If you're a little more or a little less, it's no problem. I just didn't like that I was on a slant and that I didn't get that even, so you could totally measure that out or put a straight edge or something on that if you wanted. So now I'm going to come back in with the word stamp and Intense Black and add those the little words on there to, again, we're just creating all kinds of decorative bits with your stamp. The last one, the last tag, we're going to use the Love Doily stamp in second generation Love Doily in the corner by stamping off first and just stamping less than 1/4 of that little corner. And then we're going to come back in with the word stamp and Intense Black, and just sort of, we're creating almost a theme with the combination of the Desert Rose and the black, and it's just going to go so well with this page to add all these extra bits and tags. Now I'm going to do some journaling on a variety of pieces, not journaling, but with a journaling pen, adding black lines as well as white gel pen. So I'm going to do a couple for you, and then you can pause the video and you can complete the rest. And again, this is a personal preference. If you don't like these doodling lines or these journaling lines that are popular now, you can completely leave them off. If you don't like doing them freehand, you can totally use a ruler or your T ruler, but I'm basically using the palm, the side of my palm, the palm of my hand, and I'm dragging downward, and it makes adding journaling lines so easy. And so on the Desert Rose, yep, the Desert Rose cardstock, as well as the black and white word paper, is going to be black journaling pen. Then you're going to go on the black pattern paper with the doilies will be white journaling pen. So after this step, you're going to pause the video, add the white journaling pen to the pieces that are the black doily, and go ahead and finish the Desert Rose pieces with the black journaling pen. Add the white gel pen to the other pieces, and it is all spelled out in the instruction guide as well. So now you can see here where I've added the white journaling lines to this piece. Now we are beginning the assembly. So even though I do give measurements in the guide, where your stamping is going to determine where your pieces are placed. I kind of liked adding this black doily piece so it's sort of on the ridge of the fully stamped doily. So yours may be a little lower or a little higher than mine, but you can see where I've left barely even about 1/4 of an inch over on the right side of that black doily piece. Then we're going to overlap the Desert Rose piece. Then we're going to overlap the black and white writing piece. And then we're going to overlap the black piece that should have been torn in the straight cutting section. If it hasn't been torn, simply pause the video and tear that edge. But I'm sort of showing you a visual overall of where those pieces have been laid. Now, before you adhere them down all the way, we do have a little bit of stamping that we can either do without the pieces in place, but I like to lay them where they're going to be, draw a little line, and then I can move those pieces a little bit out of the way or mask those pieces off. All we're doing is doing a little second generation zigzag stamping, and I just want a little bit to peek through out from under the tag. It doesn't need to be a lot, but it can be more if you want it to be more. It can be less if you want it to be less. And I'm just sort of masking off the area and lifting up a little bit to add that little tiny bit of stamping there where I've penciled off where the tag is going to come out. And so you can do this ahead before you place your pieces, but I actually kind of like to wait until I have my pieces laid out at least so that I can see where I'd like to put it. And it's kind of nice if it's just a little bit of rough stamping. It doesn't need to be perfect stamping because you're just adding that little bit of interest and texture to the page by adding that. Now we can go back and we can put that black photo mat in place and we can begin to assemble the rest of the page. We're going to add that tag in that we stamped, and we're going to add all of those extra bits and just decorate the page with those extra bits. So this piece is going to get tucked under and toggled underneath the pieces over the zigzag stamping. And so you're going to kind of tuck that in or under, and then we will arrange the photos after that. And we're going to be adding lots of those star doilies. Now, if you haven't been with me through the whole series, we created those star doilies by adding one fussy cut star and then foam tape and then another fussy cut star. But this particular layout also, I believe, has a single as well. And so we're going to first add our photos and just arrange those on the photo mat. This happens to be our daughter, Emily. She is the middle child and only daughter. We have a younger son and an older son, and this is her little family and little Ramsey Kate, her newborn pictures. And so all of the girls are there in these, and I just like on these family photos, when my children have family photos, I like to pick out my favorites. It's really hard because when they have those photo shoots, there's practically 100 that you could choose from, but I like to pick out usually enough for maybe 2 layouts, 1 or 2 well done layouts, and I like to highlight those. So now I'm adding this sticker from the sticker sheet, and I'm going to add the other sticker over the top, and I believe I find that that sticker is a little bit too long, and so I'm going to trim that sticker off with a scissor and then toggle with foam tape the circle right over the top so that that arrow is pointing to Ramsey Kate, and then I'm adding the circle over the top with a little bit of a title element. Love doing that and popping up stickers over the top of other stickers to just add that layered look. And of course, depending on your photo and where your subject is in the photo, you may be moving your stickers one way or another. So I do use the Photomate 400, and I'm able to slide with my app the subjects a little more over to the left or the right and adjust those a little bit. But if you don't have that option, you could actually even rotate your bits a little bit. So now I'm adding those flower clusters that we created. I call them flower clusters, star clusters, doily clusters, whatever they are, the embellishments that we made when we did our stamping and fussy cutting. The single star I'm adding to the center of this doily, flipping it over and trimming it off the back, and I'll reserve that piece to use somewhere else if I want to, or use it on a card or something like that. Adding that popped up dimension with those star doilies just puts it over the top and adds such a beautiful embellishment to this page. Now adding the clear gems, and I'm super happy with that. It's wonderful. Now we're going to move into the right page so that you can see we're going to use similar techniques. We're adding the stamp tags, we're adding the dimension on the doilies, we're adding some of those pieces again, and what I'm saying here is, depending on your stamping, you may want to arrange your pieces differently than I do. So the black doily strip at the bottom is kind of a faux strip because there's a little teeny bit that's going to be on one side and then a longer strip on the other. But I'm going to start by arranging the desert rose piece. As you can see, I'm not giving you measurements because I'm kind of putting it at a diagonal so that that upper corner hits that top full strength doily there, because it just seems like I want to go more about arranging it around where my doilies are versus a specific measurement, because your doilies may not be in the same place as mine. Now I'm going to overlap that handwriting strip approximately an inch and at an angle, depending on how much room you still have on the left-hand side of the page. Add your little tiny strip about 2 inches up, and then you're going to add the longer strip on the other end about 2 inches up so that it looks like it's a full strip. Now, I can't remember when I did the straight cutting if the reason that I did this was because there wasn't a full 12-inch strip or 11-inch strip left. Sometimes I will create partial strips on either side to make it look like it's a full strip running under. Now we have the black cardstock that we're putting over the handwriting piece. If you didn't already tear this in the straight cutting portion, go ahead and pause the video and tear that end. And now we can add the photos. So the longer photo is going to cross over all of those pieces, and we're going to have a little journaling piece on the right side. Now, I gave you specific measurements for how big that journaling piece was in my page, but you can actually cut a longer piece of journaling if you have more journaling that you want to do, or if you are one of those that likes to journal on clear labels or regular labels or on journal strips, you can simply add those in different places and you don't have to add the French vanilla journaling strip. We're going to repeat our performance of the zigzag on this side as well, and I'm going to mask off the doily, black doily strip, and I'm going to make it so that we just add a little bit of second generation zigzag to the bottom of that. And the more tattered it is, the better. I just kind of want it to be like this wavy, partially stamped piece that comes out from under that doily strip. If you want more of that to show and you want it to be more prominent, feel free. But I like just having a tiny bit of that showing across the bottom. Sometimes you have no idea what your eye is seeing because it's seeing a little bit of everything. And when you add all of these little techniques together, and they don't take that long to do, to just add all those little elements to the pages, it really just makes it a wow page. And this is so simple. This hardly uses any pattern paper. It hardly uses any cardstock because the stamping is helping you fill the page. And it's so easy to put together. You're really toggling a couple strips. And it's such a fun go-to layout that you could recreate over and over again. The stamping on this one does take a little bit more time, but the actual base pieces, there is nothing to them. So now I'm going to add that little journaling piece. I'm going to add the 2 tags that we created and tie all of those pieces together with those star doilies that we created into little clusters. And again, I'm showing you here where you can make it shorter or you can make it longer, depending on how much you're going to say about your photos. If you have a lot to write or if you have a little bit to write, or you can leave it off completely so that doily will show, and then you can use your journaling in a different location. There's plenty of space underneath on the French vanilla. So now we're popping up a couple of those star flowers just on the corner there. We're going to tuck these cute tags underneath, and then for my particular page, I want to make sure to have a little bit of space to do a tiny bit of journaling. I don't have a lot to say about this one, just how they welcomed Ramsey Kate and they're so in love with her, and how now they are a trio. So our daughter ended up with 3 daughters, and so they are the terrific trio now. Now I have this pink sticker here that I actually cut in half. Part of it was dovetailed already on the sticker sheet, but I cut it in half and dovetailed the half that wasn't dovetailed, and then arranged them in there as a little banner coming out from that star cluster, adding a little bit of a word sticker here on the edge. And we are getting there. Don't you just love the transformation where you get started and you're like wondering what this is going to be or what this is going to look like? I'm adding a single flower to both of these doilies that I'm doing right now. And one, I'll add the full single flower. And then just as a reminder from the previous 2 layouts, that all of these star clusters that we're carrying through all 4 layouts have 3 clear gems in the center of them. So you do have some extras that you can use if you wanted to add extras to more, but on this particular one, I kind of felt like less was more. You can add more bits, and then I'll be trimming up off that top one. I chose, because of the way my photo was, to add the entire word sticker over the across the photo, because I had a lot of white space on the top of that photo. If your picture does not, you can actually raise that sticker up higher or lower, adding a couple of the circle stickers, adding some gems to the tags to make them look finished, and adding some gems in various spots through the project to just finish embellishing. And I love it. I love how it turned out. I hope you love it too. I hope you will share if you created along with me. I hope you will share your projects with me. I hope you'll make a comment, hit like and subscribe so that you can get in on the very last video in this series, which will be video number 4, where we will create the final layout in this series, and then you will have created an entire workshop with me. Here is the culmination of the layout that we created today. It has so much fun dimension, the stamping elements, the background stamping, the clustering of the stickers, and I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. Here is at the end a little peek of the final layout that we'll be creating in video 4 of 4. So be ready and be watching, as that will be the next video in this 4-part video series. Thanks for hanging with me. It makes me feel so good to share the love of paper crafting with you, and I hope you come back soon and create the last layout of this series, and we will have created a full 7-page workshop together. Happy scrapping, everyone. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.